Hello, my friend, and welcome to Wisdom Trek. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, your guide to wisdom and creating a living legacy. Thank you for joining us for our 5-day-per-week Wisdom and Legacy Building podcast. This is day 458 of our trek, and today is Philosophy Friday. Every Friday, we will ponder some of the basic truths and mysteries of life and how they can impact us in creating our living legacy. Currently, each Friday, we are in a multi-trek series as we explore the teachings of some of my virtual mentors, such as Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, and Earl Nightingale. The core of our current trek is based primarily on Jim Rohn's book, The 5 Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle. I have learned a considerable amount from reading and rereading this book on my own trek of life, and I trust that it will benefit you also. Keeping with the continuity of Wisdom Trek, I am adapting it to The 5 Trails on Life's Trek. We are broadcasting from our studio at the Big House in Marietta, Ohio. Our client workload has been brisk this week, so the unpacking of what we brought back from our Charlotte home will probably take several weeks before we are all settled back in the big house. The leaves on a tree are starting to turn colors here in southeastern Ohio, and the view from our second-story office window certainly provides a beautiful backdrop for working each day. As the actual seasons change, so do the seasons of our lives. This is why it's so important that we develop a powerful personal philosophy. If you have missed the past few Philosophy Fridays trek, it would be good if you'd go back and review them so that you'd get caught up on the progress so far. We do have a lot of ground to cover today, so let's break camp and continue on the first trail of our extended trek as we cover the 5 trails of Life's Trek, Philosophy Part 8. As a reminder, our overall extended trek will cover these 5 trails: philosophy, attitude, activity, results, and lifestyle. Last week on our hike, we focused on the importance of the decision-making process, which is so crucial in creating a powerful personal philosophy. When we want to improve our lives in any area, it is beneficial to learn from what causes both failures and successes in our lives. We will first look at the formula for failure. Failure is not a single catastrophic event. You do not fail overnight. Failure is the inevitable result of an accumulation of poor thinking and poor choices. To put it more simply, failure is nothing more than a few errors in judgment repeated every day. Why would someone make an error in judgment and then be so foolish as to repeat it every day? The answer is because he or she does not think that it matters. On their own, your daily acts do not seem that important. A minor oversight, a poor decision, or a wasted hour generally doesn't result in an instant measurable impact. More often than not, you will escape from the immediate consequences of your deeds. As an example, if you have not bothered to read a single book in the past 90 days, the lack of discipline does not seem to have an immediate impact on your life. Since nothing drastic happened to you after the first 90 days, you repeat this error in judgment for another 90 days, and on it goes. Why? Because it doesn't seem to matter. This is a great danger. Far worse than not reading a book is not even realizing that it matters. As another example, if you eat too many of the wrong foods, you are contributing to your future health problems. But the seeming joy of that moment overshadows the consequences of the future. It does not seem to matter. If you smoke too much or drink too much is another example. You go on making the poor choices year after year after year because it doesn't seem to matter. The pain and regret of these errors in judgment have only been delayed for a future time. Consequences are seldom instant. Instead, they accumulate until the inevitable day of reckoning finally arrives, and the price must be paid for your poor choices that at the time didn't seem to matter. Failure's most dangerous attribute is subtlety. In the short term, those little errors don't seem to make any difference. You do not seem to be failing. In fact, sometimes the accumulated errors in judgment occur throughout a period of great joy and prosperity in your life. Since nothing terrible happens to you, since there are no instant consequences to capture our attention, you simply drift one day to the next, repeating the errors, thinking the wrong thoughts, listening to the wrong voices, and making the wrong choices. The sky did not fall in on you yesterday, therefore you think the act was probably harmless. Since it seemed to have no measurable consequences, you are probably safe to repeat it. You must gain a better understanding of the laws of planting and harvesting. If at the end of the day, when you realize that you made your first error in judgment and the sky had fallen in on you, you undoubtedly would have taken immediate steps to ensure that the act would never be repeated again. Like a child who places his hand on a hot burner despite his parents' warnings, you would have had an instantaneous experience accompanying your error in judgment. Unfortunately, failure does not shout out its warnings like your parents once did. That is why it's imperative to refine your philosophy in order to make better choices. With a powerful personal philosophy guiding your every step, you become more aware of your errors in judgment and more aware that each error really does matter. As Galatians chapter 5 verse 9 tells us, this false teaching is a little yeast that spreads throughout the whole batch of dough. Next, let's turn to the formula for success. We will just glance up the trail of the formula of success this week and then continue our hike next week. Like the formula for failure, the formula for success is easy to follow. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced each day. Now here is an interesting question worth pondering over this next week. How can you change your errors in the formula of failure to disciplines required for the formula for success? The answer is by making your future an important part of your current philosophy. Both success and failure involve future consequences, namely the inevitable rewards or unavoidable regrets resulting from past activities. If this is true, why don't more people take the time to ponder the future? And the answer is simple. They are so caught up in the current moment that it doesn't seem to matter. The problems and rewards for today are so absorbing to most people that they never pause long enough to think about tomorrow. Let me ask you this question. What if you did develop a new discipline to take just a few minutes every day to look a little further down the road? You would then be able to foresee the impending consequences of your current conduct. Armed with this valuable information, you'd be able to take the necessary actions to change your errors into new success-oriented disciplines. In other words, by disciplining yourself to see the future in advance, you'd be able to change your thinking, amend your errors, and to develop new habits to replace the old. Invest some time this week in considering what minor errors in judgment repeated every day can be turned into simple disciplines practiced every day. As Proverbs chapter 2 verse 11 tells us, wise choices will watch over you. Understanding will keep you safe. We are deliberately taking our trek slowly as we ponder how to develop a powerful personal philosophy on our continued hike up the trail of philosophy today. This is not an easy hike to make. It requires changing your habits from failures to success. It requires refining your decision-making ability so that you will build a strong foundation for your life. Next week on Philosophy Friday, we will continue our exploration of the formula for success. Make sure that you join us for the continuation of our trek on the Trail of Philosophy next Friday. I know that you'll find these insights interesting and profitable in living a rich and satisfying life. Our next trek will be Motivation Monday, where we will explore more of the trails on how to get and stay motivated to bring value into your world. So encourage your family and friends to join us and then come along with us on Monday for another day of Wisdom Trek, Creating a Legacy. That will finish our trek for today. Just as you enjoy these daily doses of wisdom, we ask you to help us to grow Wisdom Trek by sharing it with your family and friends through email, Facebook, Twitter, or in person when you meet with them, and invite them to come along with us each day. If you'd like to listen to any of the past daily treks, they are available at wisdom-trek.com. And don't forget to subscribe to Wisdom Trek so that each day will be downloaded to you automatically. The journal for today's trek is available at wisdom-trek.com, and I thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor. But most importantly, I am your friend as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal each day. And as we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and then leave a living legacy each day. This is Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and then create a great day every day. See you on Monday.